The Gauteng Investment Conference, held in Melrose, Johannesburg, focused on key growth sectors such as public-private infrastructure investment, advanced manufacturing, green and renewable energy, ICT and data infrastructure, transport and logistics, smart property development, and urban regeneration. The event secured over 300 billion rand in new investment pledges as part of a broader ambition to attract 800 billion rand in total commitments over the next 3 to 5 years.
This investment conference is most timely and appropriate as the geopolitical economy is undoubtedly undergoing profound challenges and shifts that affect our local economies in the areas of trade, investment, and financial flows. The global economic uncertainty affects the demand for our products and our ability to create sustainable jobs. Certainly, the uncertainty caused by unilateral trade, tariffs, and decisions has significantly put at risk multilateral trade rules as set by the World Trade Organization. This has significant implications for an economy like ours, which is connected to major global markets and is a significant financial center. As a country, we will need to tap into the steadfast South African resilience in the face of these adversities and turn our challenges into opportunities through commitment and resolve by working together. It is therefore critical that we face this moment with fortitude, as well as build our capacity to analyze and respond to an uncertain global environment. We should also be clear what our strengths are, what the threats are that may emerge, as well as the opportunities in our control that create connections to a diverse global market. If there is one message that we must convey today, it is that diversifying trade relationships is absolutely critical in a world where neo-mercantilistic trade policies are emerging. In addition, we are required to increase our level of sophistication in the economy whilst establishing and strengthening measures to safeguard our sovereignty and constitutional order.
I believe that Gauteng can further increase GDP contribution by diversifying its economy beyond its traditional strength and markets. This means that the province can also focus on investing in emerging sectors like technology, innovation, renewable energy, that have the potential to drive our future growth plans. This does not imply that the province should disregard its current initiatives. Rather, that it is essential to maintain investments in infrastructure, such as transport and logistics, to attract additional investments and stimulate economic activity. Infrastructure is sometimes referred to as the wheel of economic activity, since it creates an environment conducive to productive activities that promotes development. Moreover, the province should invest in education and skills development programs to ensure that the workforce is equipped to meet the demands of the growing economy.
As South Africa's economic engine, Gauteng faces strong competition for investment across Africa. Nsaki Zamtlaka, the acting CEO of the Gauteng Growth and Development Agency, shares insights on how the province can cement its role as the continent's gateway, leveraging finance, tech, trade, and infrastructure.
Public transport is going to be important for economic growth. How you link the airport, the capital city of the country, and what is now de facto central business district, that is Sentin, is going to be important for our development. And there was collaboration with national and other spheres of government to make that work. We met Transnet recently. They're building a pipeline in the east of the province, Ekurhuleni, and that pipeline is going to improve the movement of petroleum, taking trucks off the road and put into a pipeline. So those are some of the things. I mean, ITC, we set up with them as a province through the Gauteng Enterprise Propeller, a Township Economy Partnership Fund, and this is a fund to look at underfunded businesses. So province put 200 million, ITC put 200 million, and we leverage that effectively to about 700 million. And if you look at the businesses which were funded out of that, now this is money that's off balance sheet in the province, but wouldn't have happened if we didn't partner with ITC. ITC is not in the market of very small loans, but because the province took risk, they came in. And one of those businesses does rentals in townships. So they finance the design, development, facilities management of people who have properties in townships. Well, they started in Galfontein because you need to build systems and processes and everything else, infrastructure, to get this to happen. So we found that when you have very specific things, you get results. I mean, Herith hasn't spoken about what they do, but Herith is an asset manager, and they've invested a lot in infrastructure, not just in South Africa, but in the rest of the continent. I mean, they've done projects in Nigeria, but they've done that because they have money that's pensioners' money, and at a point, there were allowances on how much you can take to the rest of the continent, and they capitalized on it. So these are institutional funds, which are largely government funds, being channeled to the private sector to do something that's meaningful, not just for Africa, but for the rest of the continent. So there is, I think, a lot of wastage in the system, and a lot we can do if we worked together. But I think either than hoping for a perfect world where all of these things are resolved or resolvable is to be project specific. And when you do certain projects where each of the parties tend to benefit, I found that they tend to move faster.
Gauteng is Africa's creative hub, but growth is held back by infrastructure and regulatory gaps. Sthembiso Dlamini, CEO of the Gauteng Tourism Authority, expands on opportunities in tourism, focusing on cultural assets, city branding, inclusive ecosystems, and investment in infrastructure, digital platforms, and skills.
Gauteng is known as a very loud province, and we're bullish about it. You can imagine if you're working in a PFMA environment, and someone says, here is Zakes, he's got a product, stage it. Do you know the hurdles that we've got to actually jump to ensure that we partner with the likes of Zakes to actually stage this thing so that we can deal with visitor economy, we can deal with geographic spread because we can actually tell him, go stage it at the Val. We can deal with employment because we can have young people who can actually work on the day. We can even have an exhibition on the side where people are actually selling their products. But this, and I'm glad that we have this panel because I think the tourism lens must shift. It's no longer about binoculars and we're going for a big five and all that. People travel for experiences. They want to actually live, eat, breathe, smell the destination through its people, through its music, through fashion, through food, through all the experiences that we can give. So I really, as you were saying that, I thought, whilst the MEC is in the room, let me just talk about some of the, the discomforts around, partnering with creatives so that we're not seen as you are going to a party. Every time Gauteng Tourism, we've got something called a submission in government terms, where you've got to submit and all of these things. Every time it's a party, what are you doing? But nobody talks about the number of jobs we've created, SMEs and all that. And I think these discussions should actually help us as policymakers as well to, have that shift as to how do we create that partnership model without obviously breaking the bank and just, being non-compliant. Of course, we've got to be prudent because this is, public funds.
As the AfCFTA opens new trade avenues, Gauteng is poised to reclaim its status as Africa's manufacturing hub. Thandiwe Nqobe, the CEO of OR Tambo SEZ, explores opportunities in sectors like pharmaceuticals with a focus on innovation, policy alignment, localization, and export growth.
OR Tambo SEZ is a special economic zone, which is located in the OR Tambo International Airport. The SEZ constitutes of 3 pieces of land. We call them precincts. Precinct 1 is where we have the jewelry manufacturing park and a big agro-processing plant. It's fully operational. Precinct 2 is going to be anchored by pharmaceuticals and medical devices. And we have engaged with industry. We've engaged with Stavros and other players. And that's what we want to do. We want to go back to the issue of localization. We want to be able to produce pharmaceuticals, pharmaceutical products. We want to be able to produce medical devices from South Africa. However, we are targeting the African market. I'm sure you would have heard this Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area talk extensively about opportunities around pharmaceuticals within Africa. And I think Stavros talked a little bit about statistics in that regard. Just to take it a little bit further. Africa constitutes 17% of the world's population. In addition to that, Africa has 25% of the world's disease burden. So it doesn't make sense that as the African continent will continue to import pharmaceutical products, healthcare products, which make us very vulnerable. Because when disasters hit, particularly our global value chains that supply us, then we're in trouble. We're not able to, provide the services that we need to provide to people who actually need them. So we are working very closely with industry to ensure that Precinct 2 deals extensively with the manufacturing of pharmaceutical products and medical devices in South Africa. We may move a little bit into agro-processing as well, as an extension to the work that we did in Precinct 1. But I guess the bottom line is the OR Tambo Special Economic Zone is open for business. We are laying bulk in Precinct 2. As I said, it's anchored by pharmaceuticals and medical devices and a little bit of agro-processing. We're also engaging with the e-commerce industry because of just how our land is spaced out in terms of who can locate where.
The inaugural Gauteng Investment Conference featured sessions with policymakers, investors, business leaders, and industry experts to drive tangible and actionable outcomes that are in line with Gauteng's broader regional integration goals.